come to an end. At least in this election, that's what we're going to show. That people are going out and they're voting for something and not against.
Coming up on News Live at 6, we have a breakdown of everything you need to know about today's midterm elections.
And the suspect in the case of the pipe bombs mailed to high-ranking political figures was in New York court today. We'll let you know what the judge had to say.
And I talked to the Onondaga Elections Commissioner, who says that voting data between Dana Balter and John Kakko may not be entirely accurate. That and more in the next half hour as Citrus TV News Live at 6 starts right now.
This is Citrus TV News Live at 6, your campus news leader.
After months of primaries and campaigning, Election Day is finally upon us. Millions of voters around the country voted in the midterm elections for Congress, Senate, and local races. Good evening. I'm Gabrielle Caracciolo.
And I'm Claudia Bellofatto. Right here in central New York, races for Congress dominated the news. Our reporter Byron Tollefson is here to give you a closer look.
The House and Senate are both up for grabs, and as a result, the direction of the country for the next 2 years. And at the heart of the race to decide the House is 2 races in central New York. You've probably heard a lot about this one in Onondaga County. Democrat Dana Balter is trying to unseat Republican John Kakko, who was reelected in 2016 by over 20%. Now, Kakko voted for the tax cuts and opposed getting rid of Obamacare. Balter is a visiting professor at the university. She beat out Juanita Perez-Williams, the former candidate for mayor, in the primary. Now, polling has been limited, but one by Siena College had Kakko up 14 points. It's a pretty solid advantage. However, Onondaga Elections Commissioner Dustin Czarny, a Democrat, says the race may actually be closer. He believes the poll is based on the electorate that turned out in 2014 and that this year, the electorate is changing.
Well, there's more registered Democrats in the districts than there were back in 2014. There seems to be a bigger enthusiasm for around the country, and when you saw all those special elections throughout the country and early voting throughout the country of Democrats going to the polls.
Now, the other big race lies east of Syracuse in the 22nd district. Republican Claudia is trying to hold her seat against Democrat Anthony Brindisi. Now, these polls actually show the two neck and neck, separated by maybe 1 or 2 points. Yesterday, President Trump gave a strong endorsement of Tenney, saying that Brindisi would be a disaster. Donald Trump Jr. also made a campaign stop for Tenney last night in Rome, New York. Brindisi has positioned himself as a more moderate candidate. He was just endorsed by the Blue Dogs. That's a group of conservative Democrats in the House, and there's less than 20 of them. Now for a look at some close races elsewhere in New York, here's Jefferson Fennner.
Thanks, Byron. Outside of central New York, there are other races in upstate New York that can have a major impact on the way the House can turn tonight. Let's look at New York District 19 down over by the Catskills. This shows the race between incumbent Republican Representative John Faso and Democratic lawyer Antonio Delgado. The race has been close all year, with the most recent poll giving Delgado only a 1-point lead. Now, this race has its share of controversy. Back in September, the National Republican Congressional Committee released ads highlighting Delgado's previous time as a rapper in negative light. Delgado accuses the ads of spreading fear and hatred, while Faso is yet to condemn the ads. Across the state in suburban Buffalo is New York District 27. This seat has been held for years by Representative Chris Collins, and he seemed poised to hold the seat when in mid-August he was arrested on charges of insider trading. His Democratic opponent, Grand Island Town Supervisor Nate McMurray, seemed to be on a clear path to turn this district blue for the second time since 1985. Collins suspended his campaign a few days later, but shocked the district when he restarted his bid in mid-September. The only thing more shocking than Collins restarting this race is the fact that he is leading. A poll conducted by TV station WHEC Rochester shows Collins holding a 7-point lead in this race. Other previous polls have given Collins 3- and 4-point leads, but given the scandal surrounding this race, those numbers may be different come tonight. Now, New York State isn't the only state hosting important races. If you want to know more about races you need to watch tonight, check out citrustv.com/news to look at my 3-part series on important governor, Senate, and House races.
And don't forget to tune into Citrus TV's election special tonight. We'll have coverage throughout the night and reporters at the major campaign stops. Coverage starts at 8 o'clock.
Thanks so much, Jefferson and Byron. And if you have not voted yet, you do still have time. Shuttles to polling places are operating until 8 tonight. Polling stations are located across campus. If you live in BBB, you can vote at Toomey Abbott Towers. Those in Lyons Hall can vote at Spiritual Renewal Center. And if you are in any other dorm on main campus, you can vote at Huntington Hall. Residents in Sky Hall and South Campus apartments can vote at Drumlin's Country Club.
The shuttles going to the polling stations are part of an initiative by the Student Association, Orange After Dark, and New York Public Interest Research Group to encourage student participation. The first route runs every hour from College Place and includes stops at the Flint Hall Circle, Sadler Circle, BBB Circle, and Huntington Hall. The second route, which runs every half hour, goes from the Goldstein Student Center to the Drumlin's Country Club.
And you might want to look closely at emails sent from campus addresses. According to university officials, Information Technology Services says scammers are becoming more creative.
This is the first type of phishing scam that tries to make you look to log in with your net ID and password. The second email is offering a high-paying job with counterfeit money to get social security numbers. And the last email type claims that student computers have been hacked and demands to receive money to release the computer. The university is suggesting all students carefully look at and be suspicious about emails coming from a Syracuse account. NSU's Student Veterans Organization is showing a documentary on Saturday to bring awareness to mental health issues for the Canes Warrior Project. The documentary is called A New Leash on Life and talks about the bond between dogs and veterans. The screening is also a fundraiser to sponsor a service animal who will be matched with 9/11 veterans suffering from PTSD.
Dear Star, a year and a half ago, you had no idea who I was, nor did I know you. I didn't know your background or where you came from, and you had no idea about my checkered past.
The panel before the screening will be at 2:30, and the documentary will start an hour later. The event at Grant Auditorium is free, but donations are encouraged. And new details in a double homicide case in Sodus. New York police are charging 2 suspects in the incident, which happened in late October. Police say the 2 suspects from Texas involved in the shooting killed 2 victims in their driveway. Yesterday, police charged Timothy Dean with first-degree murder and charged Charlene Childers with second-degree conspiracy. Childers is an ex-girlfriend of one of the victims and has 2 children with him. Investigators are still reviewing the case. It is unclear if the incident involved that past relationship.
Voters in Binghamton were in for quite a shock on their way to the polls this morning. Swastikas were painted on the streets, trees, and a window of Binghamton High School overnight. The police department say the graffiti is under investigation. There are 3 polling stations in the area where the swastikas were found, but it is unclear if the timing of the vandalism was intentional.
And Amazon is making its final choices on where its second headquarters will be. Governor Andrew Cuomo has one creative offer to make New York City a front-runner. Speaking with reporters yesterday, the governor joked that he would go so far as to change his name to Amazon Cuomo. He met with executives from the company 2 weeks ago, and Long Island City in Queens is reported to be one of the final candidates. The project could bring more than 25,000 jobs to the area.
Unfortunately, a lot of voters today had to go through the rain to get to their polling places.
That's right. A lot of us had our raincoats on the quad as well, but still, it's not the worst weather we've seen in Syracuse. Sunny Balkin has more with your first weather forecast.
No, guys, it's definitely not the worst weather we've seen. It's actually 53 right now and partly cloudy, nothing too bad. Tonight, it's going to get into 49, 47, and 50 into noon. So that's, heating up a little bit, nothing too drastic. However, we saw this morning that despite the fact that there are these mid-50s, the main weather variations were all about rain, clouds, and partial clouds. Now, that rain rolled in during the morning where most people were rolling to the polls. Now, I'll have more about later how that affected people with their votes. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Sunny. Coming up next, more updates about Election Day. Find out how this recreational drug is weeding its way into 4 states.
6 people are under arrest in France for a suspected terror plot against the French president. All the details next. Don't go away.
Everybody has a dream. Mine was to see the ocean. And with a little help, I made it.
They call me Maxie, but I prefer tripod. I was your above-average four-legged homie, and then wham, bam, minivan. Some people pity me. Now that's lame. I still run, fetch, and swim. And the ladies love me. I'm the ultimate wingman. Just don't ask me to high five.
This is the story of a boy who didn't talk for a long time. The boy liked things to always be the same. Any changes would scare and upset him. The unknown was an unfriendly place. The boy was very sensitive to lights and sounds. So he built secret hiding places where they couldn't get in. The boy didn't like looking people in the eye. He wasn't trying to be mean, it just made him feel uncomfortable. Sometimes he would flap his arms again and again.
One day, I found out I have something called autism. My family got me help. Slowly, I found my voice and learned all the ways I could live with it better.
Early intervention can make a lifetime of difference. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org.
If you see news happening on campus, in Syracuse, or across the nation, call the Citrus TV Newsroom, 315-443-1177, or tweet at Citrus TV News, your campus news leader.
Welcome back to Citrus TV News Live at 6. Byron and Jefferson have already told you about what to watch out for in New York elections, but people are voting all around the country today. Citrus TV analyst Brandon Ross is in studio to break down other races around the U.S. to keep an eye on.
435 House seats, 35 Senate seats, 36 governor's mansion. All of them are up for grabs as voters head to the polls. Many of the governor's races are close, but the most important elections are taking place at the federal level. Republicans currently control both the House and the Senate, but the Democrats have the opportunity to take back both tonight. Let's take a look at the races that will have the biggest impact. Almost all of them are Senate seats, but let's not ignore Kentucky's 6th congressional district. Republican Andy Barr is neck and neck with his Democratic challenger Amy McGrath. I mean, this poll literally showed them tied a couple of days ago. Polls have already closed, so we'll know the results very early, and this is a big bellwether in determining the outlook for the House on both sides of the aisle. And moving on to the Senate, a race to watch out for is the Arizona Senate seat. This one's being vacated by the retiring Senator Jeff Flake. Republican Martha McSally and Democrat Kirsten Sinema, again, very close. Just a 1-point lead in the latest poll for Martha McSally. And one final close race to look out for is the Missouri Senate race. Democrat Claire McCaskill is trying to fend off a challenge from a strong candidate in Republican Josh Hawley. McCaskill is a lucky candidate. She won her first race in 2006, riding on a blue wave, and her second in 2012 after a Republican opponent practically imploded. The latest poll has her up by 3, but it is within the margin of error. And there are a lot of close races tonight, but these are the 3, in my opinion, that I think everyone should keep an eye on. Guys, back to you.
Thanks, Brandon. And candidates are not only part of the ballots today. Today, voters in several states will help decide if marijuana use should be legal.
Ballots in Missouri, Michigan, Utah, and North Dakota will concern the use of recreational or medical marijuana. In Missouri and Utah, all measures on the ballot are for making medical marijuana legal.
Those in Michigan and North Dakota will vote for the possible legalization of recreational pot use.
And new details in the pipe bomb sent to political figures across the nation today. A federal judge in New York ordered accused mail bomber Cesar Sayoc to be held without bail.
Sayoc appeared in court for just 12 minutes before the judge made his decision.
Sayoc, who faces up to 48 years in prison if convicted, is due back in court next Monday.
Six people are in custody following a suspected plot to attack the president of France.
The suspects include 5 men and 1 woman between the ages of 22 and 62. Police say all of the suspects have connections to the far right.
Prosecutors say the investigation will look into the details of the preliminary plot and what they are calling criminal terrorist association. Nearly a century has passed since the end of World War I. The Tower of London is hosting an 8-night event in honor of those who died.
Thousands of people stood in the moat of the tower with candles to commemorate the lives of loved ones. People wear red poppies for the final night on November 11th, which is Remembrance Day in the UK.
The war was officially declared over on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month.
It was rainy all morning, but did that stop people from going to the polls? Find out in my full weather forecast on the other side in 90 seconds.
Your daughter just had her first breakup. Do you A, put yourself in her shoes? B, console her?
Don't worry, sweetie. This is gonna happen a lot.
Or C, find her a new boyfriend?
Nice, single boys. That was weird.
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
Adventure can be found anywhere, but the best place to start is in the forest.
I spy something beginning with S.
Snow?
No.
Snow-covered trees?
Nothing to do with snow.
Head outside to discover incredible animals and beautiful plants that come together to create an unforgettable adventure.
Wow.
So grab your loved ones.
Don't even.
And explore a world of possibilities.
Come on, this way.
Visit discovertheforest.org to find the closest forest or park to you.
From the Citrus TV Weather Center, this is SU's most accurate weather forecast.
Welcome back. It rained pretty much all morning, but the question on everybody's mind is, how did that affect people going to the polls? Well, Onondaga County Board of Election Commissioner says that they expect a voter turnout today to be at presidential levels. That means that rain in the morning and in the afternoon, but it cleared up in the evening, didn't actually have much of effect as they can see so far. So thankfully, a little bit of rain, but I will say we do have some more bad news. Even though the rain didn't stop people from going from the polls, some rain might stop people from going out and having a nice weekend, which kind of stinks. Here it is. You can see that this is the temperature right now. It's gonna start to get colder into tomorrow. Now that means that that rain's gonna turn into ice, and as you can see up here, our neighbors in Canada are getting a little loop of ice. That's gonna come down to us. Kind of stinks. That means a pretty moderate to low outdoor activity outlook. It's never high. What can you expect? However, on our full weather forecast, we have a pretty decent amount of good temperatures. We got some 50s going to 40s, going into 30s, and all in all, a pretty healthy week for you to go out or stay in. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Sunny. Facebook announced last night that more than 100 Facebook and Instagram pages were taken down. The company investigated the pages after being contacted by national law enforcement. The head of cybersecurity says they took down items they believe are related to foreign countries that could have been trying to tamper with the election.
But other social media platforms are helping users register for the elections. Snapchat announced this morning that they helped more than 400,000 people register to vote before the midterms. Snapchat filters and Discover videos are also promoting going to the polls. Celebrities have also been encouraging people to vote through Instagram. Taylor Swift posted about the political climate and elections back in October, and Vote.org announced that her statements inspired more than 65,000 people to register to vote. And the elections aren't the only exciting event happening tonight. Syracuse men's basketball tips off its season in the Dome tonight against Eastern Washington. Citrus TV News reporter Brendan Tierney has more on how one Marshall Street staple prepares for the season.
Something for everybody. Men's line, women's line, kids line, stuff for your dog, whatever you want.
Manny's assistant manager, Beth Thies, says basketball is their busiest season of the year. Employees have been getting merchandise out on the shelves in preparation of the Orange's first game.
We make sure we're stocked with plenty of fashionable merchandise. We got lots of hats and gloves. If you're walking up, then you can, or a scarf, you can grab something to keep warm.
She says all eyes will be on what shirts the team wears during warm-ups and on the bench. Those quickly become the hottest item in the store.
The shirts like the Always Reppin' shirt, the ones with the sayings, those are usually hot. So people watch for those when they come out.
Once fans have all their gear for in place here on Marshall Street like Manny's, they head over to the Carrier Dome, where fans expect large crowds throughout the season thanks to a very good basketball team.
I really do see us going well into March Madness and surpassing the Sweet 16. I think we've got great players coming back. So Tyus Battle, Dolajai, Brissett, I think they're all like key players.
Morin says all the Orange fans in the crowd make an impact on the team.
Oh, I think it really does help. I think as players, any positive energy is really gonna, boost their confidence.
And that crowd will be able to make an impact early and often as the team plays almost all of its games in the Dome through early January.
Brendan Tierney, Citrus TV News. And like Brendan mentioned, today is a great Tuesday in Syracuse. We have men's and women's basketball. Plus, I'll give you a look ahead at SU football's matchup with Louisville Cardinals on Friday. All that on the other side of 90 seconds.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move. So I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
They said a bottle was just a bottle. That no one would ever notice me. But I knew I could be more. That one day, I would make people smile.
And now, your Citrus TV Sports Report.
It's time to say the three words that all of Central New York longs to hear. Basketball is back. Good evening, I'm Zach Allen. SU men's hoops starts their season tonight in the Loud House, taking on Eastern Washington. The 16th ranked Orange look to build upon the hype that has been surrounding this team since all 5 starters said that they were returning this year. Now for the Eagles, you almost have to feel bad for them. 3 of their first 4 games are against top 25 teams. Tonight versus the Orange, followed by Oregon and Washington. And now tonight's game tips off at 7 o'clock. And it's a busy night for those working at the Dome as the SU women had their season opener tonight. The Orange hosted North Dakota this evening, and boy, did they disappoint. No, they did not. Cuse cruised to a win, taking down the Fighting Hawks by a score of 85-49. And the Stars for the 18th ranked Cuse did not disappoint either. 4 scores notched double-digit points, and SU shot 38% from behind the 3-point line. And while basketball season is now underway, don't you forget about the white-hot football team that Dino Babers is leading right now. The Orange look to finish their season undefeated in front of the Orange faithful, taking on Louisville Friday night. A team that has looked beatable this year, sure, just 2-7 on the season, but head coach Dino Babers knows they can't take anything for granted, not after the way they've lost to the Cardinals since joining the ACC.
We were in here yesterday and I put up
the scores of 2016 and 2017. Then I started asking guys how many guys in here have beaten the Louisville Cardinals. Then I started putting up the yardage between those games and the difference between 2016 and 2017 and the combination of 2016 and 2017. And then I told them that we play games.
And those numbers were certainly shocking. Most recently, Cuse got whooped 56-10 by Louisville last year. So Friday night at 7 o'clock, the Orange will get their chance to beat the Cards for the first time since joining the ACC. And the Brooklyn Nets look to build off of their 25-point win over the Sixers on Sunday. They now hit the road for a 4-game road stretch. First stop, Phoenix. The Suns are only 2-7 on the year, but they feature some dangerous weapons between Devin Booker and last year's first overall pick in DeAndre Ayton. You can catch this showdown at 9 o'clock on the Yes Network.
All right, Zach, big game tonight, but we all know we have those 3 point guards that we were all relying on. They're all hurt. So
I know. Kind of a rough way to start the season for the Orange, but I mean, Frank Howard has been in a boot for a little while, and at media day, he seemed like he was going to be okay, but still seen in that boot. So I think Jalen Carey is not playing tonight, but I think that he'll be back very soon, and he's going to do a great job as a freshman leading this Orange team.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Zach. And when we return, another look at your 5-day forecast.
Superheroes? Just 4 brothers who hate bullies and love this city. Whoa! Gear up, guys.
I see you mobbing over her. Let's go. Let's mob. Let's crawl. Let's crawl. Let's crawl. Hey, yo, we mobbing. Come on, girl. Let's crawl. Hey, yo, let's crawl. Hey, yo, let's crawl. Hey, let's crawl. Hey, yo, let's crawl.
Welcome back to Citrus TV News Live at 6. We're joined again by weather correspondent Sunny Balkin to take a look at our 5-day forecast.
Thanks, Claudia. As you can see, it's pretty much in the 50s until it gets into the 40s, until it gets into the 30s. It's actually a pretty steady pattern that we're seeing. And as you can see, as we get later on into the evenings of the days, it's going to be in the 30s and the 40s, pretty chilly weather. We might even see some snow on Sunday, which might cause you some stress, but don't worry, tomorrow is National Stress Awareness Day, so you can relax tomorrow just a little bit.
All right, thanks so much, Sunny. And it's almost time for us to say goodbye, but in just about 90 minutes, the Citrus TV News team will be bringing you our 3-hour coverage of election night. We'll be taking a look at the races across New York State as well as throughout the country.
That's right, and make sure to keep up with our updates through the hashtag CitrusTV midterms. And if you're on campus, you can watch the special on channel 14.1. And if you're not on campus, no worries, you can follow us along on citrustvnews.com/live.
And that's all the time we have on News Live at 6. We hope to see you on the other side of 90 minutes. I'm Gabrielle Caracciolo.
And I'm Claudia Bellofatto. Happy election night, Syracuse. Have a great one.